Perverted thoughts, uncurbed emotion leads to destructive acts. When moving on emotions go wrong. Hi, everybody. It's been a minute, but we are here together again. I pray all is well. I'm your host, Avon, and I'm here with my co-host, Angela, and together we are Conversations with A&A. Hey, Angela, how you be?
I'm here. How you doing? I'll be fine. I am fine today.
This is good. You sound fine. You sound excited. You sound peppy. That's good to hear.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yes, it's been a minute since we've been on the air live in a moment, but we're here today, and I'm glad to be back. And we have some interesting things to talk about and bring up for the folks today. I mean, it's, again, as you can see, the topics, perverted thoughts, uncurbed emotion leads to destructive acts when moving on emotions go wrong. And I want to let our viewers in on where I got that title from. That title was something that my grandfather used to say to us years ago. And when he used those words, he was describing the downfall of man. So when he said that to me, that really stuck in my head throughout the years. I said, the downfall of man, are these things perverted thoughts, uncurbed emotions, and it would lead to a destructive act? So I said, what does that mean? And then over time in the years, I got to find out really quickly and clearly what that meant. So let's so that we're all on the same page, let's get to some meanings that we all can agree on so we know what it is that we're talking about. First, I got these definitions from Oxford Languages. And the meaning of perverted that I would thought would work well in this situation is the perverted as of a thing, having been corrupted or distorted from its original course of meaning or state. These thoughts can manifest in various forms, including sexual obsessions, violent fantasies, or socially unacceptable impulses. They are often arise involuntarily and may cause intense feelings of shame, guilt, and anxiety. So that is the definition we're going to work with for the word perverted in our title, Perverted Thoughts. Now, uncurbed is an adjective, and its meaning is not restrained or controlled. So we're talking about emotions that are not restrained or controlled. That means you're out of control and you let the emotions take over you. So that is the definition we're going to work with for that. And destructive, meaning causing great and irreparable harm or damage. So with that being said, let's get into tonight's show.
Yes.
I want to let you know what inspired this particular topic, because I was on YouTube, going through YouTube, as I always do. I'm always on YouTube, listening to the different things and seeing what's going on with people. And I happened to come across this particular video involving Travis Rudolph. Let me get it right. Travis Rudolph. He was an ex-NFL player, and he found himself having to defend himself in court on a stand your ground case because of a relationship gone bad. And I said, and then for those who want to follow this link and look at the videos for themselves so they can get the full context and, help come to their own conclusions, I saw this particular court case on the Law and Crime Network. And then, today, so when I was doing a follow-up for the show, so I could get his insight, because it was talking about, it's talking in the third person when you're looking at law and the network. And then I heard what his girlfriend had to say. But then I came across his interview with Vlad TV. And I'm just going to say this as a disclaimer. I don't want to say anything. I won't say anything bad about anybody, but that has my ears perked up, and I have feeling a sort of way about Vlad and what he brings to the table. He gets a whole lot of good people to come on there to interview, but the consequences of people being on his show concerns me. But we're not going to get into that today. That's a whole topic for another day. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. But if you want to see Travis Rudolph's full interview on what happened to him in court and how it happened, that's one place where you can go. So let's get into the story. So we know about his past. He was an ex-NFL player. He got hurt and then he ended up playing football in Canada. He went to different teams. However, so he met this woman. Her name is Dominique. I don't recall her last name. It's silly me, I didn't write down the whole name, but Dominique, for intents and purposes of what we're speaking on. And they had met with each other and got into a relationship. And he told her off the rip, he said she wanted to be his girlfriend. And he said, look, he said, I enjoy your company, but right now, he told her, because of a past relationship that he had, that he was very cautious of fully getting into a relationship. So, but in the meantime, he wanted to, pursue a relationship, get to know her. He wanted to be in the getting to know her stage. But, she, as like a lot of us women, okay, when we get in a relationship, we want to find out what this is and what are we doing here. But he was very clear, and he set up off the rip where he stood and what have you. So they continued to see each other. They were seeing each other for a while. And, and while he was playing in the NFL, he got an injury. He tore his, what is it, the ACL? That's what it's called. He tore his ACL.
Yeah.
So he had to rehab that. And then he, his future was, in question. But, he went to rehab and then trained to get himself back in order, whatever. I forgot where he went to train. He went to different places. He trained there, but they continued to see each other. And everything was fine. So one day he came home and they were supposed to meet up. They were going to meet up to go to a movies or something. And then when they were going to the movies, there was a cancellation and they couldn't go at the time that they wanted to go. So they were hanging around waiting for that, and he's been, they have their little PlayStations and game and stuff. For some reason, he went out of the house for a minute. His brother was in the house and his mother was in the house. He went out of the house for a minute. Oh, his brother called him outside to check out his new ride. He left his phone in the house. And what do you think happened with that? What do you think happened, Angela? Tell me. I think you can tell. Say it again.
His phone. Something happened. Right. Being that he didn't have his phone, that's when something always happened. When you
right. He didn't have his phone because he left it in the house, and that's where she was, in the house. So what do you think happened?
Somebody rolled up on him.
No. Before that. No, what do you think she did with the phone?
Oh, was she looked through his phone? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So you know how that usually goes, and it went that way this time. She saw a text from one of his homegirls, but this was somebody he did happen to have had a friendship with beforehand, but she knew this girl. When she asked about it, he said, there's no big deal, whatever. It's, leave it at that. But she got irate over that, and they argued with that, and they went back and forth and whatever. And then she ended up calling him a broke a man. She called him a man, called him a broke ass Negro, and she called him a itch ass Negro. And they proceeded to go back and forth or whatever. And she kept going back and forth and calling that whatever. And, you know, after a while, man ain't going to take that too much. So she jumped up in his face and was carrying on, and he was holding back. And then she said something, and then he broke, and he called her names, of course, tried to hurt her, saying things. And then she really became irate. So she started to fight him. She grabbed the phone and broke his phone. That was one thing. And then he had a PS4. And so guess what she did with that? What happened next?
She broke that too.
He broke that too. She said when she did that, that's when he lost it. He said, the phone, I don't care about the phone because that has insurance on it, so I can get that fixed. He said he broke the PS4. And that was just a little bit too much. So he wanted to hurt her. So he got to start talking reckless, saying reckless things. And that made sure. So then they get to fighting. So she's punching on him, jumping up in his face and carrying on, fighting and going on. So the brother was there. So he tried to separate them. The brother was pulling him back away from her. And then they were, you know, she was still going back at it, trying to get him. And she was fighting and hitting him. She grabbed the brick and she was going to go for his windshield. So they got the brick away from her. So she's upset about that. So she ends up going at him, going over at his head with a bottle, a liquor bottle and whatever. He said, now I ain't gonna lie. He said, I was feeling those punches, whatever. But, you know, I hit her. But in the scuffle, she ended up going down, knocking herself down, falling back, whatever. And then she got back up and went back at him again. So, and then I guess they restrained her, and then she went down again. However, so with that, then she says she called her brother and told him what was going on, and then she sent a text, and she said to the brother, shoot this ends S up. Shoot this nigga shit up. And it said, and then within the text, it was said that he's a dead man walking. Now, in all this, she had called the mother and the sister too and gave her version of the story, but it did not go down as she said. And then she acted like, oh, she was calm and she wasn't going to do anything, but she had already put things in motion. So after that, then he went in the house and they went back with his brother and the mother. They were talking and having their conversation. Then they heard this knock on the door, like there was like the popo coming in and banging on the door. So the way that the banging on the door was, it alarmed him. So he grabbed his AK-15, I think it is, AK-15 that was in his bedroom. He brought it downstairs. His brother had already been downstairs, so he brought the AK-15 downstairs and he said he don't remember if he put it on the couch or he put it near the door. And then as the brother had already gone outside and he went outside to see who it was, and immediately one of the fellas, it wasn't her brother at the time, but one of the fellas that the brother had called and she had called, it was a friend of the family he talked to, had punched him in the face. And then they were all fighting and scuffling out there, and they were going back and forth, and he was fighting. And his brother ended up getting separated. He was fighting some of the other dudes that came along. And then the next thing you know, he saw there was two people that had guns. And so he ran to get his gun. But he saw his brother was down the block fighting with the other people, so he ran to get his gun, and he saw other two. But then when he got his gun out, then one of the fellas saw him and said, okay, yeah, you got this. So they all ran and got into their vehicle. And then he said they were coming at him. They would have the lights off and it was coming towards him, and then they had guns pointed at him. So he shot his gun, and that went into the car. So it all in all, he ended up sending out 39 rounds. And so when he was doing that, then the folks in the car before them were in the car, driving away, and I think one of the fellas jumped out the car. The other friend jumped out the car and ran, tried to get rid of his gun, but he was hit in the backside, and then the others, they drove off. So they were trying to get away. They bypassed hospitals. They didn't call for police or anything as such. And then at one point they had stopped the car, and a police officer had driven by, and they didn't flag him down or say anything. And then he went by another time and saw that they were still there. So he approached them and asked if they needed help. And then, that's when they claimed that one of them was hit and shot, and that they needed help. But this had gone on. They didn't say anything because they was trying to get rid of weapons and things. This is what was discovered in the trial, when the trial went on. So that happened for a while. And then he went home. He said, the adrenaline had calmed down and he was waiting to hear anything, but he didn't hear anything until 2 hours later when the cops came to arrest him. And his sister had called him to let him know that somebody had died.
Wow.
So then they picked him up for the murder. So that's why he went on trial. And in the trial, come to find out, a couple of things he found out that he didn't know. That the girlfriend was married.
Wow.
So the one who had started these events, got things rolling, she was already married. She never told him. And you know what she had the nerve to say?
What?
He said, well, no one asked me. I didn't figure I have to tell him or let anybody know. That's my business. I said, well, there were so many things. You got that going on. We're going to dissect this. I'm just giving you the background, and we're going to just dissect these perverted thoughts and these uncurbed emotions and how it would lead to a destructive act. So you found that answer. So why would you say, did you say these things that she had an attitude and, try to play the word game, figure that she could outsmart the attorneys and stuff? Well, no, you didn't ask me this and so on and so forth, and why should I have to? And he said, did you say shoot his shit up? Said, that's what the attorney said. You used her words. What are you talking about?
That's dramatic. That's dramatic.
The judge had repeated it because she was getting, spicy and argumentative is the word that they used. So she wasn't going to answer the prosecutor, so she was going back. She had an attitude. So the judge said, Miss such and such, what did you mean by shooting shit up? I said, well, dang. The judge is even using the language. And then she answered, well, when you get upset and you get all up in your feelings, you say things that you really don't mean. And so they just tore her apart. Then it went on that and said, well, why would you say that if you're just dating, whatever? Did you ever expect to marry? Are you married? Did you ever talk about that? She tried to avoid that, whatever. And then that's when it came out that she was already married. And it was just like, dang, that was just bad news from the get-go. And it goes on and on. But like I said, for those who want to follow up more, they can go to the Law and Crime Network and see the trial. His name is Travis Rudolph. Or you can go to Vlad TV, and Vlad does an interview with him, and he discusses all of these things. Now, when we get into the topic of perverted thoughts, what would you identify as the perverted thoughts in this particular case here?
What do you mean? Like all of it is just the thing is for me, it depends on your morals, principles, and values.
Okay.
For me, being that I'm a woman that believes in God Almighty, if you don't have God in your life, I mean, these things is gonna happen. You know, if you don't have no set standards, how you gonna live your life, and you're all over the place, and you just freestyling, and you're not vetting properly, all of that comes with your morals, and the reason why I like when you follow God laws is because it sets you with accountability. So when you don't have some type of accountability or conscious of a creator, your higher creator, then these things happen. So I'm not surprised when these things are going, especially nowadays. And this is why people need structure in their life, because as humans we do things that's unbecoming, and that's why we always have to be crucifying our flesh. I believe that we are spiritual beings going through a human experience. So that's why we always have to crucify our flesh in terms of always checking ourselves every single day. It's a battle to fight our emotion, our negative lower self, our negative emotions, our negative thinking and thoughts and ideas and ideologies and all of that comes from the negative, the dark side of us. And that's a daily battle. So imagine if you're not conscious of that on a daily basis, how does that look? You understand? So it's not just some people believe once you become a Christian, you okay. You don't have to fight no more. You done. God done chose you. You in favor of God. No, it don't work like that. It's a daily battle with your spirit, with your soul, how you living, because we all are capable of being there. I heard Monique one day say that we one decision away from the penitentiary. Okay,
Correct.
you don't know what can take you there. You might have an altercation with someone. You might have a situation where you're fighting someone in terms of your children. You know what I'm saying? And you have to defend your children, and you have to, how would you react? That's good to say, uncurve emotions and thoughts and all of this, but something as sensitive as that. So I try not to point fingers at no one, but at the same time, we all can be in that situation. And that's why we all have to check ourselves daily. It's a daily, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day situation, where we have to constantly evaluate ourselves, constantly check ourselves, and give ourselves um, a mental wellness check to so we could go in a straight path, and we won't have perverted thoughts, and we won't have uncurbed emotions, so we won't act out of destructive acts. So it's a daily battle. So I'm not surprised about that. We hook up with each other in terms of relationships or whatever the case is, and we don't think twice about it, we don't vet properly, and we don't really get to know. This is like a microwave type of um society we live in. Let's just do it now. Everyone want to cure that immediate gratification that they have. So of course, he didn't know she was married, and then who knows? You get what I'm saying? And she didn't want to disclose it, or she felt she didn't have to disclose it, and then she's acting out of emotions, and with the with she was she's married, she what is she doing with another man? So it's not really surprising, because what are you standing on? When you look at these people, they're not standing on what, they're not believers of God, and if they are, at what point did they try to help themselves out of such, or prevent themselves out of such situation? Um when did they conscious kick in? So that's what I have to say about that.
I agree with you 100%. Everything that you said, and then My 2 cents I want to add on to that is yes, this was a powder keg. It was waiting to explode. And one of the things that I want our audience to remember and to keep in mind is when dealing with this, your impulse control is activated in this, your reasoning skills, and you're going to need, just like you said, what are you standing on to help you make decisions? Now, like I said, I'm not here, and we're not here to tell anybody what their religion should be, what their spiritual journey should be. But the main thing is, as long as you understand that you are connected to something greater than yourself, something that's bigger than you, and you are connected to others in order to make this thing work and how we're to learn things. So if you keep that in mind, then that would help you in not being so destructive and be so emotional. Like what some of the things that I saw off the rip where, and it's not just in this case. We hear it so many other times. There are patterns here. I see the patterns. I said, "Oh Lord." First of all, when you're coming together, a lot of times we as people don't have the tough conversations. Or when you do have the conversations, you hear what you want to hear. A lot of times, individuals go in thinking that they're going to be the savior. They got the savior complex going on. I'm different. And whatever's going on, whatever they say, they don't mean it. They don't mean it right now. They're saying that, but once they get to know me and once we go on, I'm going to help them to understand and change their mind. First off, when it was said, she asked, she wanted to be his girlfriend. That was understood. But his instincts, from what you're saying from the past, we want to go with just what he's saying is true. He stated in the beginning, let's take our time. I'm still affected from my last relationship. I want to take my time. I'm here. I want to get to know you. So he said that. He stated that was very clear. That was whether he was in tricky, whatever. He said the bottom line is I want to take my time and let's ease into this. Let's get to know each other. Now, at that point, I'm speaking for me right now. I'm not going to speak for everybody. At that point, I say, then the ball is in her court. She has a choice now. She knows what she wants, what she's going for. She wants to be the girlfriend, whatever. And the only thing is, at this particular time, he said where he's coming from. You either accept that or you move on. If you don't feel that you have the time, or if you decide you're going to wait a little bit to see where this development goes into, you can do that as well. All right. Then apparently she got to some point where she felt that, okay, we're in this situation together, because he was basically saying we were doing everything as if we were. How many times that we get caught up in that situation too? And tell it, and then later on you find out, well, I never said that we were. That can go so many ways. When, like you said, when you don't have a foundation, it's something that you're going to stand on and move from. Then that's freestyling comes in. And then when things go wrong and then people get up in their feelings, those uncurbed emotions, and then it intensifies. So then come to find out she had some issues, self issues. And one of the things that he said when they were going back and forth and try to hurt each other, she had been going and working on her body. She felt a certain way about her body. And this person that came up on the phone, so when he was going for trying to hurt her back, he was saying, well, such and such looks better or naturally or whatever. So that's gonna, when you already feeling a certain way about yourself and somebody says something, you're gonna be triggered, and then you lose your ish, as they say, and then you go for that. So then that's what happens. And then instinctively, whatever the reason was, when he said to take his time, that was a good thing. But then you come to find out she had a whole marriage going on, and she didn't choose to reveal that. So the thing is, you're in a whole marriage. How do you feel any type of way about what somebody else is doing? He's not committed. So why are you upset with him? You know what I'm saying? And you in a marriage and didn't feel the need to tell him about this. That's these are perverted thoughts, perverted actions all along the way. How do you do what, like you said, where are your principles and morals? You put it all on the table and you give everybody a fair chance if they want to be in this relationship one way or the other. But when you're withholding key details, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be, now, I don't care how you try to hide it or clean it up, it's going to be a problem. And to make matters worse, her mother and her brother knew about this and they were in on it. You know, they were met the family. You know how that is, and the brother, hanging out, and they, meet each other like it's a regular situation. But they knew that she was married. And then how do you condone this stuff? It's not up to you to tell the other person what your child is doing. That's on them. But the thing is, where are your morals and values that you condone this? You know what I'm saying? He may be an expert. Then for me, the flags that go up in my head is, so what were they all trying to do here? They figure they got an NFL player here. So, let her get caught up in him and then she can secure the bag or something. It's just so many things that's off with that. And I feel that you're naturally going to have a problem with that. So that was the first step there. So those were the perverted thoughts when she come to the table knowing what her situation was, but didn't feel the need to tell him that. And then when she had her own issues that she felt insecure about, or whatever, and then when she sees information on her phone, and that's another a problem. When you feel, anybody, man or woman, when you feel that you could go in and check somebody else's private information, I don't care if you're married. For me, let me say for me, and then I'm gonna ask your thoughts on it. My thing is, you don't go through anybody's phone, because what was one of the sayings that they had out there? If you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it. You know what I'm saying? And don't be surprised. And then your feelings get hurt. The thing is, if you feel that you need to do that, that means there are trust issues and you don't trust a person enough. And then I think psychologically, really more deeply, you don't trust yourself. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you're gonna take it upon yourself to go check somebody else to see what it is that they're doing or what have you. My thing is, if first of all, it's something instinctual and you pick it up. Intuitively you pick it up like something ain't right, or I'm feeling uneasy about something, and then you investigate that. But I don't, you could have the conversation or whatever, and by dealing or talking to a person, this is not just in romantic situations. When you talk, you pick up certain things or you hear certain things and it hits your ear the wrong way. Those are flags. Those are signals like, hold up, and you need to pay attention here to see what's really going on here. But like you said, vetting and stuff, people don't go through the process. They want instant gratification. Oh, he's cute. He got this. She's this. She got a big butt and this or whatever. Let me have some fun now and I'll deal with the consequences or figure it out later. And then later you end up with these big situations here.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anything else you want to say on that particular case?
No, it's like I said, it's not really. I mean, these situations, of course, like I said, it's not surprising to me. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you live in a godless life, I mean, what do you expect? You get what I'm saying, for both parties, so um It's, if you hooking up casually and it's just with any situation, it don't matter whether it's relationship, whether it's work, whatever. I try to. I'm not perfect, but I try to. That's what I try to live by, my compass, my moral compass from that point of view, from God point of view. Following God laws, and that keeps for me, it keeps me grounded and keeps me conscious. So when I hear stories like that, and you ask them, what are you doing? Who you have around you, who you look up to, what are your beliefs? And you hear people talk, and then you can get that just from that, just by listening to people and seeing how they live their life. So yeah.
Exactly. I just want to remind everybody you're listening to Conversations with A and A, and tonight's show is Perverted Thoughts, Uncurbed Emotions Leads to Destructive Actions When Moving on Emotions Go Wrong. And for our listening audience, or if you have any thoughts or comments, please join us in the chat. We're interested to hear your thoughts and see what you think about the situation. And even after the show, you can go on and post a comment and share your thoughts on it. But um, this is um, this is not a singular event. This is happening more widely spread than we think, or in different ways. The story may change, some of the details may change up a little bit, but it's the same thing that goes and on, and it's happening more than we think. So,
Mm-hmm.
Sister Jenkins, let's go on to some other types of ways that this can show off. How about when someone tells a mistruth and sets off a chain of events? Now, that particular thing showed up in the first case that we spoke about. Have you seen anything like that in your traveling along through life, or do you have any thoughts on that particular
Say that
situation?
again.
When someone tells a mistruth and sets off a chain of events. You have any thoughts on that?
Well, Kendrick Lamar, I'm gonna say what Kendrick Lamar said. Kendrick Lamar and Drake is going through beef with each other, right? So they say in the streets beef.
Mm-hmm.
And Kendrick Lamar said, "You tell lies on me, but don't let me tell the truth about you."
Woo.
Yeah, that was. I just heard my son just let me hear that. The songs and stuff, because he know I like certain lyrics and stuff. He said, you tell lies on me, but don't let me tell the truth about you. I also heard Farrakhan once says that no need to lie on no one, because the truth about anyone is enough.
Okay.
Okay. So, lying on people, and I mean, things happen, because even in the scriptures it says they lied on Jesus, right? So who are you? Things happen. You understand? People will lie on you, people will misrepresent you. And it depends on what you're doing. It might be lies, it might be the truth. Sometimes people tell the truth on people too. So it don't necessarily mean it's all lies. So um is it right? No, it's not right. But this is the world that we living in. The truth will be mistaken for lies, and lies will be mistaken for truth. Lies will be truth. So once again, where's your morals, principles, and values?
And how would you address that situation? What would you tell somebody in when they find themselves in that situation, or maybe even yourself? What would be one of the things that you would say that might help somebody
Like in
handle
what
that?
situation?
Like what we just talked about, when somebody tells a lie. lies on you or whatever, and it starts things to happening and what have you, and not necessarily good things. How would you respond to that, or how
Well, it
would
depends on
you?
you. Because you can respond to it in different ways. You could use it to your advantage. You know, you
Mhm.
could use it. You know, and I think it's 48 Laws of Power. It said that how you can use negative circumstances as marketing. I mean, they didn't say, I'm paraphrasing it, but you can use that to enhance your career, your life. You know, it's not always bad for you. I mean, you can turn it around. You know, sometimes it's better to be talked about than not talked about. You know, it's a saying that bad press is better than no press. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody's thinking of you, somebody talking about you. You got people now, you got people talking, whether they say, you know, good or bad or lies or truth, they talking. So it depends on, you know, how you look at it, you know. So you can take it and you can strive with that, you know.
This is true.
So we
This
don't
is true.
always got to look at, you know, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's good to sometimes it's good to it's not always bad. Everything you don't, even if it's something that looks bad, like okay, somebody lied on you. You might have a, you know, it might be spread rumors, a lie. Now people looking at you, you could use that for your advantage. It's not always you know, that you can't get out of the situation or you can't do something about it. You just turn your situation around. It's like someone give you lemon, make lemonade with it. Things happen. People lie. People gonna lie on you, no matter what. How good you walk this life, you know that happens.
This is true. There was a situation I came across that was talking about what is this? What's the name of the rapper that was from St. Louis, like Nelly and them? His hit song was Right There. I forget his name off the top of my head. Do you remember it?
No.
Well, anyway, he there was a woman that had lied on him and talked about his sexuality, and from that, it caused him to lose many deals. He lost a lot of money and things like that. And then come find out later that the woman recanted her story and said it was true. But after that, the damage had been done. He had pretty much left the industry and what have you, and his means of income was limited. So the thing is, with that, some people can build up animosity right there, and then you're fuming on that. Then you want to take it out, but it appeared that whatever it is, he just left it at that. He didn't like go in and say that he wanted to do something to get back at her. It was just like he was resigned and give it up. And look, and just like you say, not everything is bad. When it comes to find out all the stuff that we're hearing about the music industry now, it's like maybe he was spared, you know, from having to go that route. I
Mhm.
don't know the full story because, like you said, as we find out behind the scenes, we're hearing so many different things or what have you. So it's hard to decipher what is true and what is not. But the thing is, if you just look at the surface, he may have been spared. So, like you said, not everything is bad that it appears bad. It seems like it's a horrible thing that happened, but at the same time, it may be used to spare your life or to spare your reputation. You know, to spare
Right.
your so I can see that. And that's and my thoughts and what I would suggest. The thing is, you need to understand and know the truth about yourself. What do you say? Do you know who you are? And is there any validity into what this person is saying? So you got to square that away in your mind first off. That's what I would think. And then you stand the move. And once you understand how people are moving and thinking, like you said, then you can counteract that. You need to know where you are, and then you move in that, you know, in
Mhm.
that authority and on that. So you don't, you know, go tit for tat. You know what I'm saying? And then
Right.
sometimes do things to make you go to do certain things to hurt yourself. So that's what I would say on that. Okay,
Mhm.
let's try another scenario. Unless you want to add on to this particular one. Anything else you want to say on this particular
Mm-mm,
scenario?
no. Mm-mm, no. I think you no. You can shoot for it now. The next one.
Okay. All right. This scenario is when one builds an event in their head that did not or is not true. When they have something in their head and they think it's the truth when it's not, or there's something that they just put in their mind, got stuck in their mind, and it did not necessarily happen. Have you seen any cases or heard of any incidents like that?
I mean, I could see that happening. We are humans, and things happen. It could come from triggers. It can come from your perception of yourself. And 9 times out of 10, people ain't even thinking about you like that, or if they are, it's not about what they thinking about, is what you just said, is who you are as a person. Um, and study thyself, prove thyself, right?
Mhm.
Learning to love yourself and show up the best person that you are. So sometimes people might say something that triggers you, but maybe they have some validity in that. Maybe you feel in some type of way because they might be right. Sometimes people are right. If you overweight, somebody might you listen, you overweight and not good for your health. You might don't want to hear that. You understand? If you might have issues with, whatever you have issues, you don't manage your money right. Somebody might say something to you about that. So that don't mean that they coming at you or harming you. You might take it a certain way, depends on, you know, um, can you take constructive criticism? Maybe it might be sarcastic, but if they coming at you, you got to ask yourself, is this really what I believe it is? You know what I'm saying? Can I look at this
Mhm.
another way? Or you communicate. It's about communicating as well, too, because we do have mouths, right? We can communicate and ask a person, what do you mean by that? That's a very important question. So we could get that out of our head. What do you mean by that? Just being authentic to ourselves, you know, being authentic to ourselves. It starts there.
Exactly. I agree with you because would you say triggers in and of itself, part of it is that you are triggered because when somebody says something, there is some truth or some reality in your mind and in your heart that is true. So when they say it, it's something that you had already been thinking about, or there's a
Yeah.
belief that you have within yourself.
Of course, and sometimes triggers is good because it can help. A lot of people think more of themselves than they really are. So if somebody says something to you in an area where you thought highly of yourself, and then they mention it, and you feel some type of way, maybe it's just worth taking note. That's how we get better. Like I said, constructive criticism. Or if somebody say something, you might feel some type of way strong about it. That's why it trigger. You might have a flashback on something that happened in your past, or so it could be for a number of reasons. But like I said, you got to learn. This is part of life. You got to learn how to turn your life around. You have to learn to use all of these things that's coming at you for your good.
I agree.
Like David Goggins said, kill him with success. That's what you have to do. You have to show up. I mean, people gonna lie on you. They're gonna try to rob you. They're gonna try to steal from you. All this is going on at one time. But then there's people out there that's good, that's for you, that will give you constructive criticism because they genuinely want to help you. So it's all of that going on at one time. Gotta be strong. You have to deal with it as it comes. But if if you feel somebody said something that offended you, it may be true. Ask yourself, is it true? You got thoughts in your head? Why keep them in your head so it can turn to anger or frustration? Address the situation. If you're around people and you that you can't address this, you know your feelings and your emotions too, and how you feel, how you want to be treated, how you want to communicate, then what are you doing with these people? Or what are you doing, around, you know, people that don't value you as a person or don't value your opinion or your ideas, So this is things that we have to ask ourselves as well.
Exactly. And what you're alluding to is what we speak about all the time. That's that self-work that you have to go out. These are where different things in these different scenarios that we're bringing up. This is what self-work would look like. You have to ask yourself the tough questions. You have to, it would, let's put it this way. Uh, like we also say, we have heard, you ain't got to do a damn thing about it. But I think it would be wise in your self development and help you to grow that you ask yourself these tough questions, that you be open to listening to people that would make suggestions or bring certain things up to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not everybody's out here to help you.
And it's also about being around a rounded person. This world is not just this world is not just about you. There's other people in this world. There's other people who have different mentalities and personalities, and you got to study what's around you. You have to study. You have to be aware of what's going on. You have to know how to pick up on cues, and you can't just be walking around just in a daze. You have to be able to pick up on things and understand what's going on around you. Be aware. So it's all of that happening, like I said, at one time.
You're right. You're right. See, we're so used to, we've been lulled to sleep, like what goes on in society and how things are going on and what have you. We're brainwashed and we're being conditioned, and we don't even realize these things are happening. These things are seeping into our subconscious, and we're acting off to that. And then we're listening to what somebody else tell us, where we're constantly being inundated with how people react to certain things. You don't realize it when you're watching certain things. You're hypnotized. You're in a hypnotic state, and things slip in and slip into the subconscious mind, and then you start reacting and doing things that you don't expect. And who this is affecting on a large scale is our young children. You know what I'm saying? The
Right.
things that they watch on TV and things that's pushed down their throat. The next thing they're reacting and doing things that they may not have done normally, but something had went down subliminally, and they didn't realize it and catch it, and then they find themselves reacting and responding in a certain way. And that's what in some religions, like I said, well, I'll just put it as on a spiritual journey because it is said in many different ways, but it means the same thing. You have to guard your gates, meaning you have to pay attention and watch what you consume mentally, what you listen to, you know, what you watch, what you allow people to tell you. What you do is all these things, like you said, you have to be aware and you have to pay attention. You got to pay attention to these things. And once you're paying attention, then you will get good and you will recognize patterns because in nature, how things are set up is patterns. Things go on and they repeat themselves. When this happens, then the response to that is this. What they say about what what is it called? That Einstein came up with the theory E=mc squared. There's an equal action and reaction to every single thing here. So is something happens, there is a response to it. There's a natural response. So if you pay attention, that's a pattern within itself. Things,
Mhm.
how we're taught, how we hear things, watching nature. There are certain patterns. There's patterns to life and death. How you move, how you respond. There's patterns. There's things in our math. It's set up. There are patterns. there are patterns to how you do things, So, and what my favorite thing is, I keep saying, we got to learn what the connection is. You have to learn to interconnect things because everything is not happening out here separate and apart. All these things are connected some way and it builds upon itself. So, like you said, we're going to have to pay attention out here. We can help ourselves. And it's not all on somebody else outside of ourselves. We got all the tools we need to get what it is that we need to get. But what we got to do, you got to make the steps to make it happen.
Yep.
It ain't happen just because you're sitting there like a lump and figure it's going to come to you. No, there are things that you need to do as well, and we got to get into that habit in those patterns today. Got to help ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
That's
and
right.
that's another saying that we have out here. We teach people how to treat us, and the other thing is, why would you expect someone to do something for you when you're not even willing to do it for yourself?
Mm-hmm. It's just,
So
and sometimes it's just that sometimes you're not willing to, not that you're not willing, sometimes you can't because whatever the circumstances are. And this is why I said to have it depends on your morals, principles, and values, because like it says in the scriptures, the strong shall bear the burdens of the weak. Sometimes your friends and your family, they're not ready at that moment to move forward. And we do. So what do? You take advantage of people in that situation, or you help them through their slump, so that could be it too. Sometimes you're not ready to do that, but you need that help. You need that push. If everyone thought about that, the society wouldn't be as far as it gotten. Sometimes you might not believe in you at the moment, and you might have others, mentors, and people that love you and care about you, and family and friends that believe in you, and then they help push you to get you to that point. So it's not all about, oh, if you don't do for yourself, nobody else is going to do. Sometimes you're not mentally or spiritually or emotionally capable of doing it at that moment.
this is true.
And
This
that's
is
why we
true.
have to have compassion and love in our heart. And that's what Jesus taught, how to have that compassion and that love for others. That's why I'm just saying, humans, we need to um have God in our lives, because look what we doing with God. Imagine without. You get what I'm saying? Because it brings on a level of consciousness on what you're doing. And these I'm not doing for that person because that person is not doing for themselves. Like what? Like sometimes people weak. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes
For
people
real.
going through something. Sometimes people is going through mental stagnation, and they can't be focused at that time. So what do? You just add on drama to their life, or just kick them while they down. They say never kick a man while he's down, right? So
Correct.
we just have to be careful on, and it's not even about, it's like like I said, depends on what's your principle, morals, and values, you know that it'll show in your daily walk.
It's
we
true. It's
constantly we, we constantly have to try to get better, as humans. It's imperative for our survival, short term and long term.
exactly because this world, things happen in cycles. It's them today, but it could be you tomorrow. Then wouldn't you want somebody to have that compassion and empathy for you?
Right.
People, we got away from that. It's just like it's about me. It's all that iTunes, iPhone, I this, I that, iPad. It's been conditioned to think about self. But then
Mhm.
again, the thing,
Individualism, individualism.
correct. And then the thing is, you have to realize, like you said, you're not in this world by yourself. So it can't be all about you. Yes, you got to do some self-work and work on the you, but you have to realize that you're part of a bigger picture. And that's what we got away from. And that's why you have this apathy and people don't care about nobody else and it's all about themselves, but they have been conditioned in that. And then in the conditioning, people are where a lot of people find themselves in survival mode. So they're just focused on that and they forget about the other things. And that's when stuff slips in there. So while we're worried about trying to keep a roof over our head, keep money to do this or whatever, we're not parents a lot of times find themselves they can't be with the kids because they're trying to survive, and then the kids are missing out on a whole lot of things because the parent is not there teaching them things, and this then you have a cycle of this going on. So this parent didn't get this, then they're having kids, and it's more so, and so the principles, morals, and values get weakened even more so because we're not taking the time to build on that or remember the neighborhood village mentality. Okay, well I can't do it. Well, I see your kid. I send things there, but now we got it that we're afraid of each other. You can't leave this one because you don't trust that one. So don't you be talking to my kid. Don't tell my kid nothing and whatever. It's just a downward spiral that's happening on here now, and we got to stop that free fall. And those that know, got to share when in our conversations when we talk to other people. You share the information, and then it goes on and it expands that way. You have to do that. Don't be afraid when you can speak up and say the word. There's somebody who's willing to listen and hear what it is that you have to say. These are days and times that something needs to be said. You deliver the message, and then what people do with it, that is not your responsibility.
Gotcha.
All you're here to do is deliver the message. So that was good on that scenario. So let's do another one. How about when someone is hurt by someone's action and how you respond to this hurt or slight? Sometimes, look, that situation that we said when we started off the show with had all these different things going on in there, these scenarios going on there. Someone is hurt by someone else's action, but and then you respond to it. Okay, I'm hurt. So you know what? You hurt me. I think you should be hurt. And because you hurt me, I think I need to level up and make you hurt even more than you made me hurt. So this is the perverted thought. The thought was, okay, it was hurt. There's nothing wrong with that. But then when the virgin comes in with the emotions, all right, you hurt me, so I need to hurt you back. First of all, what I would say is that, okay, was this an intentional hurt? Or was this something accidental that happened? And the thing is, am I aware of myself? And I know to go to self and to do an assessment of what's going on. Where did I fall in? What did the person do? What was my part in that? How did I respond to that? And what can I do to balance this out or to heal this or work this out for me so that I am and find myself in a balanced state, that I'm good. I'm not working out here to hurt, equally. First, I would say, once I do that assessment, then depending on what it is, I would go to the person and ask what happened or what's going on here, state what went on in my position, how I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. And I asked them, did you mean to do so? What was your thought process? What was going on? And then I go into this conversation with an open mind because I'm going to find the truth, to make sure that I didn't exaggerate something in my mind. I want to hear what was said. And then from there, I would evaluate, is this a a deal breaker. This would end this connection with this individual, or that we can heal and move forward from that, depending on how honest and forthcoming the person is, and then we come to an understanding what went on, so that we can avoid this. Well, there may have been something that I need to work on in my mind. Why am I? And that's another thing I want to say while I'm thinking about it. We find ourselves, we are super sensitive these days.
I was just
Any
thinking that. Oh my God, you gotta be really, you gotta, I mean, seriously, you have to be really careful of your communication nowadays. I mean, people are weak now. I mean, you say, you gotta constantly check in with their emotions. How it's just, it's a lot nowadays. So you have to really, you got to just get to the point. The whole thing is this: when people come in your life, you have people in your life, they come to you, they either want something or want to give something. It's just those two. What do you need? You ever seen those movies and they, get a call and the person said, "What do you need?" They're like, "Oh, we got people in our lives like that. They call you being nice. No, what do you need?" So we got to get to the point. What do you need? How can I help you? That's very important question nowadays. How can I help you? Because sometimes you might unintentionally hurt people's feelings, or people, and plus people might be projecting on you. You don't intentionally mean to do that, but one thing I know, when people come into you and they bring in themselves to you, it's something that they need, whether they say it or not. And being discerning is understanding that you got to understand the people that's around you. That's very important. you know um it's like, remember when Jesus was at the dinner, what, he was at the table sitting down, and he said,
Mhm.
"Somebody betrayed me 3 times." It was Judas, but he knew who he was sitting with. So I'm not saying we Jesus, but it just go to show you that, you gotta know who you're around. You have to know who you surrounding yourself with,
Exactly.
or get to learn that. That's important. Ask questions. What is it that what can I do for you? Basically everybody, right? When people come, how can I help you? Those ones who that's very highly hypersensitive in your life. Those people, and how to communicate with them. Now, whether you do it or not, that's on you. But that's why you see people that's around people that don't, they hate them, but they still be around them, because they, a lot of the time, they harboring feelings from sometimes people be around you in your face. Most of the times this is like that. That's harboring feelings for something you did back in the day, and they never said anything. They just was around you. You don't know, and they your enemy all that time because something you said or didn't do.
Correct.
And most
That
people
is
are like that. So, and those, you just gotta ask the tough questions, like what is going on, what's wrong, how what's up. When they come in your life, it's like this. People who's gonna do what, when they gonna do, how you need to respond in certain situations with them, and let them know, I feel uncomfortable, but I'm gonna work with you. I feel comfortable, with this situation, but not this situation, and so forth. So yeah.
that is the thing, because when you go to the basic um concept of how people come into the world and what they want to be seen and to know that they matter in your life.
Right, right. And then sometimes, like, um, I have to get more conscious of that. I was talking to you about that. I think I have to really, because after a while, you hear people say the same thing over and over again. It becomes like, okay, maybe it is me, but that's the area I had to get conscious of, and still is. In life, we busy, we paying bills, we have lives, right? But then there's
Hmm.
people who want to just genuinely be around you, people that genuinely want to be your friend, or hang, and maybe not need anything but just to talk and communicate. And we have to have time to do all of those things. We have to take under consideration the people we have in our lives. If they're worth being in our life, we have to nurture those relationships. The mother, daughter, the aunts, the uncles, whoever you choose to have, your friends, cousins, sisters, brothers, in your you have to nurture those relationships. It's very important.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna give you. I'm
Absolutely.
gonna give you an example with that Shaquilla. What's that? Shaquilla. Shaquilla.
Yeah, I think Shanquilla something. I forgot the last
Yeah.
name, but I
Remember,
remember.
her friends took her out there. She didn't know that was her last day. They had that
Correct.
harbor in them. That's how it could be. You got people around you talking to you all the time, and they project it on you, and they can't get that image out of their head, and they want to put you to death. I just gotta say this. I want people to understand this is how cruel they want to put you to death. And laggy gagging, you joking, you playing games, and you don't know they want you dead. Okay, we seen that, and on YouTube many occasions, so-called friends taking their friends out of the country and then unaliving them. Not, I'm
Correct.
just sorry because certain words, but unaliving them. You understand? So
Correct. Correct.
we have to be conscious of the people that we have around us. We can't take it like it's like your head can't be in the clouds no more. Especially if you know that people are sensitive, you have to ask the questions.
Correct. You have to be aware and take the temperature. You gotta
Yeah, you
take
got
the
right.
temperature.
That's a matter of life and death. That's important. That's your livelihood. You know what I'm saying? That could keep you alive. That's a matter of fact, that is survival. That's the basic survival methods.
Correct.
Why you think they do like some jobs? They have some jobs you can even get the job if you don't have good credit, or if you work for a bank, right? And they want to do a background check and you in debt. They're not giving you the job because guess what? You around a bunch of money and you in debt. That of course you're gonna come on. What you gonna do? You're gonna be too tempted, right? If you're not a
Hmm.
strong-minded person to steal or do something, rob your own bank, right? Because you don't have any money, so now they put you in a situation. You work for a bank, and here it is, you in debt, major debt. So all this, but they know this. You have companies now that's doing background checks on people because they want to know
Hmm.
who they hiring, who they gonna have in a company. All that matters. So
Correct.
it's a matter. It's worthwhile to pay attention.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like you're saying, all this, they're harboring things, whatever. That's those perverted thoughts, and then they're sitting on it and they're building this whole thing up in their head, and those emotions get stronger and stronger, and then some misconception, some wrong thinking, whatever, then there's some tragedy that comes behind that. Yes, it would be wise to take the time and pay attention to what's going on around you. It's just testing the temperature. Talk to people. Sometimes a smile or acknowledgement is enough because you don't know what filters people are looking at life through and what's going on. But because you did something of a higher vibration, that brought a kindness in this person's heart. And look, at least towards you. Look, they still might go off and go on a rampage and somebody else out, but it could save your life because you took a moment. But then that moment might trigger something bigger, and that they find hope because a lot of people feel that they're hopeless and they cannot change the situation that's going on around them. So they're thinking of doing some serious things. You know, you might not do it, but you don't know where somebody else may find themselves or beaten. That's what he said when the weak. Sometimes something may not bother you. It's a, that don't bother me. Why would somebody? But it's a big deal to somebody else, and vice versa. So you
Right.
don't know. So you don't dismiss things. You see where people are coming from. And then that's the other thing we get caught up in. When we see people that figure that they're grown, they should know better. Because what's how we know that? What people commonly say, everybody knows. You should know, and just no, everybody does not. Depending on who you come across, whatever, people have trauma in their lives. We all have some type of trauma. And when you have that trauma, you can developmentally arrest yourself at that particular age or when that trauma happens. And then from that point forward, you're dealing with everything in life through those filters from when you shut down. So let's say that was at 15 years old. You're always looking at things through that 15-year-old mind and whatever. And then you act that you can have a grown body to be 40, 50, 60, 80 years, but then you stuck in that space. And until somebody digs or comes across it and brings it to your attention, or that higher being, that higher vibration, however you want to call it, brings it to your attention that you can see where the problem is. So, you know, it's so many things. But the thing is, everybody, those that know, need to be aware and be cautious with that and spread that message. But the
Mhm.
most that you could do is acknowledge that you're in the presence of another human being who has feelings and whatever. And sometimes just taking that minute can change somebody's whole thought process.
It's like the Peter Pan disorder, right? When adults act like adults, hold on to childlike behaviors. You get what I'm saying? Whether it's
Right.
responsibility or accountability, they still harboring what's happened in their childhood, and you see these adults acting that out. Can't communicate, difficulty being responsible. So you go through those things if you undeveloped and you didn't get support.
Hmm. It is. You don't know. It's it, is that there's more people than you can imagine that's caught up in that. You know what I mean? More
Hmm.
people than you know. So if you know that, don't take it for granted. You treat you don't treat like everybody like they're simple or they're slow or something. It's just that you move with an awareness and be empathetic, you know, show a little compassion because you don't know where they are until if you decide to develop a relationship and you go deeper, then you see where people are. But I would suggest you start off with the empathy and compassion, just on a
Hmm.
basic human level. Look at the person, see them. Don't be so quick to move. Just a second. That's all it takes to look somebody in the eye and let that energy transpire between the two of you, connect on that level. And then sometimes you just take a look, take a moment so people see that you recognize them, you're seeing them. That says so much and it means so much. You could have saved a life, you could have saved your own life. How about that? You save your own life by
Yep.
taking a second to do that. So
Yep.
yeah, that's a big deal right there.
Yep.
And then that leads into we can combine this with it. One of the final things I thought about, we don't know how to separate someone else's issue from ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And that's the up thing, and
Mhm.
that's where the perverted thought is. You take it on somebody else's issue and it's not yours, and then you get all emotional and caught up in this all this stuff. And then if you take a moment, sit down and say, well, these are not my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts are not my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Your words are not my words. I don't think and I don't move that way. So then you have to say, well, where did this come from? Well, let me get rid of that because that doesn't serve me. That's not where I'm at. So,
Right.
you know, you give that back to the person and then you pay attention to what you do. That's why you do, I say, do self-assessments on a regular basis. Just check in with yourself, see where you are, how you feeling, and what's going on. What's your thoughts? Are these your thoughts? Where they come from? If they're not serving you, or it's not your thoughts, let them go. Get rid of them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Somebody comes screaming and carrying on in your life. Oh, and that's part of that projection too. Where people projected, oh, and you this and you're that, and because then you have. That's where they say you do that assessment. Wait a minute, is that true? Is there any
Mm.
validity to this? Is that what I'm doing? Is that what I'm thinking? That's not what I'm thinking. So where does it come from? So more than likely, that's a projection. And normally it is. When I see people talk so much, when it's that you, it's because of you, and then this, and they tell you what it is. It's they're telling you about themselves. They're telling on you when it comes up often. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Mm-hmm.
pattern that you watch out for. Say, why do we have the same conversation? What's going on when these types of conversation comes up? And then when you notice patterns and the connections, you normally find that there's something going on in this individual where they're not feeling control over, or they're beating themselves up about something, so they will project it onto you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you that's doing it. So this way, I don't have to deal with it because this is a you problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the other person has to realize, no, it's not. So you know what? I'm gonna give you back your stuff, and I'm going to back away from this. And it depends on how. If you are so moved to say something like, when you have the compassion and you recognize the pattern, and you say, okay, this person is hurt, then you ask them, okay, what's really going on here? You seem like you got something on your mind, or I keep hearing you say this. Why do you say this? Just some basic, simple questions, and get people to say out loud so they can hear themselves. Like, why am
Mm.
I feeling this way? Is this true? And then sometimes when you hear it, it comes back to you, and you sound out what you're talking about, then you look at things differently. And people, these are all techniques that the psychologists and psychiatrists they listen, but they're here to reflect and hold up a mirror so that you can see things and see it clearly in a different light, and give you a chance to express yourself, what your thoughts and feelings on it, and then they can steer you into a bigger and maybe a more accurate understanding of what's going on. Sometimes we miss you know receive things, and then we'll go off acting. That's a perverted thought. That's what a
Mm-hmm.
perverted thought would look like. It is not accurate. It's just something that you built up in your mind, but it did not happen that way, or that's not what's going on. But you're going off of what you perceived it to be, and it's not actual. It's not an actual fact. And then you get in your feelings about it, and then you go respond, and then you do some damage that you can't undo. You damage
Mm-hmm.
ship on something, and then come to find out that wasn't it. But now you done unalived a relationship because you couldn't control yourself. You couldn't see the bigger picture. You didn't have the accurate information, but you was going off feelings. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You got to learn how to take things out of the feelings and be logical. And like you said, what are you standing on that gives you the guidance so that you can make a decision and determine things more accurately. So
Right.
there's
Right.
just
Right.
so so much work on that. And just want to remind the audience, this is Conversations with Angela and Avon. And tonight's show is Perverted Thoughts, Uncurbed Emotions Leads to Destructive Acts when moving on emotion goes wrong. So yeah, that's a lot of things, um, and that we got to take these things into consideration because it's a big deal, and we see I see. I'll speak for myself. I'm noticing a lot of hurt people out here, and they're moving off of inaccurate information
That's
because the low self-esteem, the feelings, sense of they're not feeling secure, so it's so much going on. So we gotta do that work. I will always say that. I don't care what it is, whatever the problem is, part of the answer is doing that self-work.
Mm-hmm.
And in relation to this situation, and what can you do? What do you know, and how to apply what you know to the situation at hand? That's what wisdom is. Applied knowledge. When you know how to apply what you have learned,
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes wisdom. You know how to accurately apply it to solve the situation, to see the situation clearly. What
That's right.
you pay attention. Don't look. Don't just be taking stuff in and then don't do nothing with it. That's just as bad as not knowing it at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 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 Right.
So it's
No, I
it is
agree.
exactly. So, Sister Jenkins, do you have any thoughts or anything else you want to add or anything you want to speak about at this
No,
point?
it's just yeah, I mean, it's just when it comes to your emotions, that's big nowadays because we seeing how that's not turning out for a lot of people. You just got to control yourself. But like I said, if you don't believe in God, we got to watch people's spirit nowadays. What they who they believe
Mhm.
in, what they um, how they live in. You just can't go by, and this is why a lot of stuff is happening. So if you're a believer, you got to do. I'm talking about to the believers. You know, you're not a believer, then oh well. You got your own rules, obviously. But I'm talking about believers. You know, you gotta stand on something before you fall on anything. So
That's correct.
it's a constant, um, it's a constant battle with your spirit, with your soul. You got to always check in with yourself if you're a believer of God. Um, so that's where I'm at with it.
Exactly, and I agree with you 100%. I care about us. I care about my peoples, and I want us to succeed and do well. I care about people in general. I care about people that are on the righteous path and they want to do the right thing, and they know their connection to higher source and to their fellow man. You know, and I
Hmm.
want to see us win. That's where I'm at. So I'm hoping that when we have our conversations on various topics, that people can get some insights and probably get see another way of seeing things, to expand on their thought process and get a better understanding of what's happening around them. And I would like to say, folks, you watching this show now, watching it live, or when you watch it in playback, you know, please go visit us and catch some other shows that we've had, and then hopefully you can learn from that. Remember that all things are connected. So everything that we talk about is not separate and apart and it's disjointed and something else. It's to build on these things and put it together and realize certain things you're going to see it happen again somewhere else. I said, oh yeah, I remember hearing this before. So, you learn to make connections. We learn things in a compartmentalized fashion, but we are holistic people and we have to learn how to see things on the whole. And to do that, if you get pieces and learn it in a compartmentalized way, you have to remember to connect all the pieces at the end. And that's where we fall short. We forget to connect everything at the end. So we see things separately, and it's not. It's all connected. So that's what I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any closing thoughts that you want to say to our listening audience before we wrap this up?
Um, we have to, not have to, but I believe we living in a time now that we need to definitely come back to God, um, repent, come back to God, and be focused on our actions, how we treat others, how we treat ourselves. And a lot of our problems, if we do it God's way, will be resolved. Okay. Um, so we need to be mindful of that. That's what I have to say.
I'm in agreement with you 100%. I say, come on, brothers and sisters, we can do this. We got this. It's not that
Mhm.
we have no idea, no clue where to go. We get samples of it every single day. Angela and
Mhm.
I tonight shared with you some ways to see this and look at this and get these connections and get these answers. And then, you have other people. You got to talk with people and you got to learn and you got to do the work. It said what? Knock and you should be answered. Ask and you should be answered. Seek and you shall find. You know,
Mhm.
knock and the door will be open. You got to do something. And all those things, those are actions that need to be done. Those are action words and thoughts. So we got to do some things. We can think it, but don't let it just stay in your mind. Now you got to act on it. Put some
That's
action
right.
to it and make it happen. And
Yes, 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 we do. We do. And I know this topic been very dear to you, because lately about, just everything that's coming up and everything that we are noticing and seeing, and how just there's a lot of people that's out of order, living out of their emotions. Very emotional time for people.
it is. And they're doing some wild and hurtful things behind that because they're stuck in the emotions instead of getting the knowing and understanding why things are the way that they are. They're not seeking the truth, or they got so beat down and caught up in the day to day that they forget to focus and look and search for the truth and get a deeper understanding of what's going on. So
Mm,
that's what affects me, and it's hurtful to see folks hurting unnecessarily. You know, it doesn't have to be that way. We
I
just got to
don't.
do that work. You got to do that work.
Yep.
So, and you want to tell people how to stay connected and how to find us and how we do what we do when we do what we do.
They can definitely hit the like button on for our YouTube channel. And definitely visit our channel again. Hit that like and subscribe button. And we definitely gonna be having topics like this and more coming your way. Also, you can also subscribe to our Instagram page is at Conversation with A and A, and we on Twitter as well, Conversation with AA. And thank you for tonight's show, Avon. Um, you always come up with topics that's very important to talk about, that people don't want to talk about, should talk about. So I definitely appreciate you for that. And definitely let's keep this going.
Thank you, Angela, and I appreciate you as well. I couldn't do it by myself. I'm sitting here talking to myself, so you have just as much insight and much to give. So I hope that people receive and are open to what it is that we're telling them. And as long as it is willed, we will be here and we will share our insights with folks. So we
Yeah.
hope to see you all again. Stay tuned and please, you can visit us at conversations with ANA at gmail.com and send in suggestions, or through the chat, send in suggestions for future shows, what interests you or what you like us to speak about, and we'll look into it and see
Yes.
what we come up
Yes.
with. And feel free, next shows or whatever, visit us and send your thoughts to the chat. Some people, may not want to come on air with us. We will have that option as well in the future. But in the meantime, if you want to remain anonymous somewhat, then just comment in the chat. That's just as effective. So we're looking forward to that. So with that, I want to say we love you all, and you take care of yourselves and join us and look for us on the next one. Good night,
Yeah.
everybody.
Good night. Good night. Good night.